Do you think now, if we come right up to date with what's happened just with the withdrawal in Afghanistan, what implications are there, do you think, now for our security? I'm talking about terrorism.
It's been an ungodly disaster in every sense of the word, because the Taliban pre 9/11 were not very well armed. They were sort of exoteric renegades in the Middle East. They were not the avatars of radical Islamicism. Now they are drunk on victory. They're boasting that they and they alone, after defeating the Soviets, drove the United States out in shame and humiliation and defeat. And there's a fierce controversy here in the United States over the actual amount of hardware they have, given some of it is over a 20-year period and encompasses built-in cost of training. But if you were to use the high figure, 80 to 85 billion, that's the largest transfer in the history of civilization of military weaponry. Yeah. That is 80% of all the amounts that we gave to Israel during the history of the Jewish state, over 70 years plus. That would pay for 900 F-35s, 6 fleet carriers. Right. So these pre-modern terrorists now have created a virtual arms mart in Central Asia, where China, Iran will be buying weapons, and China and Russia will be examining weapons to reverse engineering them. And we're going to be hearing from these people for the next generation. And more importantly, we're going to have a series of Bo Bergdahl incidents where Americans begin popping up in 2s and 3s, and we should expect that they'll be paraded on television. They'll confess to pseudo sins that they've done, and we're either paying them bribes now, or we will shortly, to get them home. Yeah. So the humiliation will be measured and serial and insidious to weaken us. And then, as far as all of you guys in the UK and NATO, remember, we asked you to come there. And whether it was fair or not, you saw us as the greatest military power, as sort of the leaders spiritually, militarily, and monetarily. And we provided the greatest amount of troops. But we only had anywhere from 35 to 2,500 troops. You guys had 8,000. We didn't consult with you. We left Bagram Air Base in humiliation in the middle of the night. We left you people there. We didn't coordinate with you. And so I'm being generic now as far as NATO members, you told us that Donald Trump's uncouthness in leveraging another $100 million to enhance NATO readiness was wrong. It alienated, but despite his personal invective, he did make the alliance stronger by that fact. But the adult in the room who returned the bipartisan foreign policy establishment of America, so welcomed in the UK and Europe, has done more damage, if not essentially destroyed NATO for a generation. And I don't know how anybody's going to trust us. So I think we should anticipate very quickly that China will be flying in and out of Taiwanese airspace. Its ships will go into their sea space. I think North Korea will be testing again. Iran will be accelerating its nuclear development. Russia will have a hard look at NATO countries on the front line, the Baltic states. And they're going to have all wait and see. They're going to be provocative. They're going to say, you know what? The only way the United States can restore deterrence is to do some physical, material act, because we don't believe they will. And that's where you get dangerous. It's very easy to lose deterrence, but it's costly and dangerous to restore it. Somebody in this country is going to have to restore it, because we are a strong country. We have the strongest economy in the world. We've got the top-rated universities. We've got the best military, but we're suffering from a crisis of leadership. And people will make the wrong assumption that we're therefore weak, as the Germans, the Japanese did in your case and in our case. We were much stronger than the Japanese and Hitler, but they didn't believe it because our leadership did not convey that reality. And so people miscalculated. So somebody in this country has got to be an adult in the room. And I'm very worried about that, because when you look at Kabul today, and I see we had a gender studies program at the university. We had a rainbow pride flag at the embassy. We had George Floyd murals. those are all the ruffles and flourishes of a triumphant occupying power insensitive to a traditional Islamic culture. But a weak power who's on the eve of defeat and humiliation, that adds insult to our injury. What arrogance to think that we had that power when our military was a shell and our commanders had not a clue, and we're saying the most absurd things, that we have shared agendas with apparently a new, kinder, softer Taliban that wanted us out as much as we did, and we worked together in partnership, which was absurd. They wanted us out with humiliation, defeat. We did not.